We're here today to do the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. ALS, otherwise in the U.S. known as Lou Gehrig's disease, and in other parts of the world as simply motor neuron disease, falls under the MDA, the Muscular Dystrophy Association. The MDA also covers myositis, along with all other neuromuscular diseases. Here it goes! Oh my God!
There you saw Jerry Williams, a man who is living with polymyositis here on Delmarva. And that wasn't the only challenge Jerry's done.
Here it goes with a deep breath. Oh. Okay, that is awful.
Well, this challenge was to raise awareness for myositis, and Jerry goes on to say that this challenge represents the discomfort and distaste that's involved with living with the disease.
And Jerry, along with many others, were hoping to raise awareness because myositis is just so rare, and at this point has no known cause or cure.
Yeah, for the most part, people who are diagnosed experience muscle pain and inflammation. According to the National Institutes of Health, myositis is listed as a rare disease, meaning that it affects fewer than 200,000 people in the U.S. They estimate it affects about 5 to 10 people per million each year, and that 50 to 75,000 people are currently living with the disease.
Now, for someone who is living with this disease, life can get pretty difficult, so it's important to have people to lean on. And in fact, Jerry Williams is in the studio with us today, and Jerry is the founder and president of the Myositis Support and Understanding Association. Jerry, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Okay, just as you mentioned before, it's under the same umbrella as muscular dystrophy as well as ALS, but the symptoms are the same.
The symptoms can be the same with ALS. Some of our patients that have inclusion body myositis are often, or I shouldn't say often, can be diagnosed with ALS at first, since the symptoms can mimic.
Right.
So it's a difficult diagnostic process to finally get, to a real and true diagnosis.
So tell us your story. When did you first notice something was wrong?
Well, in 2003, I woke up and I started having muscle pains, mainly in my legs and hips. And I just thought I was working too much because I was always really active. And that led to about 2 weeks after that, I started experiencing really heavy legs. Just started with the weakness. I collapsed and ended up in the hospital for 15 days, had pretty much every test under the sun. And it took me 2.5 years to finally get a diagnosis.
Wow.
Just so many tests involved, and there were so many specialties involved because myositis falls under neurology or rheumatology. So you have two different specialists, and they kind of battle it differently.
Sure.
So I finally got a diagnosis through a muscle biopsy.
So what was it like to finally get a diagnosis?
It was twofold. I was just so excited to finally realize that I wasn't crazy, because the first doctor I was diagnosed, they diagnosed me with psychosomatic illness, that it was in my head, and I had to see a psychiatrist to get clearance before they would move forward. The second part of that was obviously it was a rare disease, it's disabling, there's no cure, the treatments can be difficult because no two patients are alike, and usually it's a combination of treatments. So
we're actually going to show some photos now, and it may be uncomfortable for some people, just a little heads up, but you had some pretty serious complications that went along with this. Yes,
long-term prednisone use can cause so many different issues: osteoporosis, diabetes, the list goes on. My complications, basically, I had a bowel perforation and was taken into emergency surgery where they removed half of my colon and 6 feet of my intestine, and that led to an infection because of the immune suppression drugs that I'm on for the treatment for polymyositis. So basically, I then had to get a drainage tube. The tube was yanked out, and my iliac artery was torn in half. And that's the picture that is me on the vent after the repair.
And I imagine you have to take medication.
Absolutely. I'm on, currently I'm on tacrolimus and Rituxan, which is a Rituxan is a chemotherapy drug. And the tacrolimus is an organ rejection medication. So they both basically just suppress the immune system to help fight the disease.
So going through this, I mean, you want to help others. How did you come to that, I guess, conclusion?
Well, in 2010, after I finally started to stabilize, I realized, that the patients were spread out so far across the country that an in-person support group in my area was just not possible. So I started a Facebook group. It was originally called Polymyo-What, just as a catchy name, but I found that it was limiting other types of the disease. So we finally changed it to Myositis Support and Understanding, and then it just grew from there, and we ended up becoming a nonprofit. That was my original goal. And we just got our nonprofit status from the IRS in August. So we're a brand new organization with a focus on education, and hopefully in the near future, we would like to provide financial assistance to patients.
And you even got a special recognition in Delaware.
Yes, Governor Markell was, we're so thankful to him. He not only declared the National Myositis Awareness Day, but in Delaware, he declared a Delaware Myositis Awareness Month.
Well, on top of that, you also have a great support system. Tell me about that.
Absolutely. First, my husband, Charlie, I can't thank him enough. He goes above and beyond to help and be there for me. And then our dogs. Our dogs are a huge part of our family.
Oh, there he is.
Look at that. You guys having a little dance party.
Yes, they're sweet little babies.
Yeah, he even helped you through this.
Rusty did. That's Dapper. But Rusty, he used to, when I first got sick and I was in a lot of pain, Rusty would wake me up in the middle of the night. I would go take my pain medication and go back to bed.
Wow.
And then it kept happening and happening. And finally I realized what he was doing, and I started to set my alarm to take my medication so he didn't have to wake.
Sleep.
Yes.
Oh, Jerry, thank you so much for coming on and making us aware of this. I had never heard of it before.
Thank you. There's one other resource that I think is really important. Our Vice President, Emily Fillmore, wrote a book called The Marvelous Transformation, Living Well with Autoimmune Disease. And that can be found on our website as well. It's all about positive living, and that's what we really try to focus on.
Well, thank you so much, and we're happy that you're helping others and feeling good, and thank you for coming in today. Well, if you'd like to read more information on myositis and the Myositis Support and Understanding Association, just visit our website, wboc.com, and click on our picture at the top of the page. Well, there are many people living with other conditions who, just like Jerry, don't like their diagnosis get them down either. Like this girl, for instance. Ginger was born with a developmental disability, but it's not stopping her from excelling in sports. We'll hear her story and find out why she's making her country proud.
And for the 1 in 68 children living with autism, making friends in school can be a bit tough. See how one woman's passion for theater is trying to make the whole process a whole lot easier. Delmarva Life, we'll be right back.